Welcome to a More Beautiful World podcast with Susyn Renee, a place for those of us with the desire to expand our consciousness, tap into higher vibrations of love, and to connect into a community where together we can make the world a more beautiful place. I'm so eager to share with you what I've learned on my journey in discovering how we're all connected and how what we do for one, we do for us all. Here, I'll be sharing my own experiences, knowledge, and expertise for how you can heal, transform, and ascend your being so that together we can create the more beautiful world we all know is possible. Well, hello, tribe, and welcome to this part 2 episode of Lessons from Grandmother Ayahuasca. And today, in this part 2 episode, I am going to share with you the lessons from my first ayahuasca retreat weekend. Ayahuasca is also known as grandmother. And if you haven't listened to part 1 yet, or even if it's been a while since you've listened to part 1, I highly recommend you do go back, re-listen, or listen to it for the first time. Make sure you set the stage for this powerful episode. I am going to be today in this episode discussing the lessons I learned from this powerful medicine, both during ceremony, and we might have time to get into integration thereafter, though I feel like that's going to be its own episode. But I truly believe with all of my heart that one of the greatest things we can do with these plant medicines is to share our lessons and our blessings and the gifts that we receive from using these medicines to share it with others. So here I am. And as I shared in the last episode, it really was a profound weekend of a plant medicine journey. And it was the journey that helped me recognize just how connected and intertwined that we all are. And it also was the biggest influence for the creation of this podcast, which we'll probably talk more about in the integration work. But today, I want to share with you really what happened in night 2 of my medicine journey and kind of how the weekend finished out for the plant medicine retreat, because I want you to be able to move forward and learn some lessons in bettering yourself so we can all beautify our world. Now, again, before we begin, tribe, I want to say again up front, this medicine isn't for everyone. This medicine does need to call to you. This is not something you'd want to ever force. All right. The plants have spirits, and we can connect with them just as they can connect with us. So, I am not here preaching that everyone needs to go out and run out and find an ayahuasca ceremony. The purpose of my sharing, again, is to offer you some of the medicine that I experienced and to pass on the wisdoms and the teachings of grandmother to you. So, as a reminder, this was a long weekend retreat, sitting with grandmother, and the actual medicine and the ceremony nights were 2 nights back to back. So, in the last episode, I took you through the first evening of ceremony, and today I want to make sure I cover the second day and night of ceremony, and also our integration day, so our third day as well. And if you recall, so last ceremony, again, if you listen to the last episode, the night after my first ceremony, I awoke to this beautiful sunrise over the mountains in the desert, and it really was such an incredible way to wake up. And even though I did fall back asleep, briefly, I learned that during ayahuasca ceremonies, one really doesn't sleep all that much during the retreats. But so when I got up pretty early that morning, I went outside to soak up some sunshine on my skin, get into some journaling, and to really capture everything that I had been feeling. At that moment, just with one night of ceremony under my belt, I'd felt like already I was looking, at the world through brand new eyes. And all I wanted to do was to be outside and be in nature because I felt so connected to everyone and everything. And I remember how good the sun was feeling that morning. And one of my favorite things that morning that I'll always remember was getting into my swimsuit and joining two of my brothers in the hot tub. Because if you don't know me that well, I can tell you I am a huge fan of hot tubs. Okay. So if there's ever a hot tub anywhere, I'm pretty much getting in it. And after a night of intense medicine work and all the fasting that we had been doing and everything, the sunshine on my skin and the hot tub and the bubbles and the heat, and the warm water, it felt so good. And couple that with, beautiful connections with beautiful humans. It was just such a gorgeous way to start a morning. And so great kickoff today too. But after that, I was so eager to have breakfast because wow, did they put out a spread? So I was super fortunate that this retreat also included organic, gluten-free breakfasts and food in general. All the food was included. And did they really do an amazing job at making my foodie side happy? Okay, so we were all nourished with this beautiful spread of organic, gluten free foods, and everything was vegan too, except they did bring in some scrambled eggs so we could get a little bit of protein. But although the soup the night before was so magical because you're breaking your fast coming out of ceremony, breakfast the next day was totally where it was at for me because holy yum. I mean, they had chia pudding and fresh berries and kiwis, and there were vegan pancakes and the scrambled eggs and some fresh made toast and some vegan butter and just holy yum. I remember there was a really good salad too. So as delicious as the food was, and again, I could probably do a whole episode on just one meal of food because I get really excited about it. But more than the food, it was the community and the sense of tribe that I felt in this experience that really took it over the top for me. Because to have, 23 of us there, giving gratitude for our food and praying and eating and laughing together and just enjoying living, it was so magical, and I never knew just how much my heart, wanted that connection, during mealtime, but really during all the time, right? To live in tribe and to live in community. I soaked up every moment of those beautiful connections and soaked up all the nourishment into my body, my mind, my soul. That morning just fueled me in ways I didn't even know I needed to be fueled. Um, so it was such a beautiful start to the morning. And in the early afternoons, after we all kind of have breakfast and we all help clean up, we went into a sharing circle. So, because this is a really profound medicine, the ayahuasqueros bring us all back together and sharing circle the next day. So we can go around the room and share our experiences with the medicine and what had transpired for us the night before. And this was really helpful, to just hear what everyone experienced and learn, from these different perspectives and to really see how unique the medicine works in all of us. That was one of the most fascinating parts to me was that each individual, based on where they're at in their own journey, the medicine created such a diversity of experience. And in that, there was this mixture of, people who were releasing pain, people who were experiencing, profound levels of bliss, folks that were having divine insights on their growth and their healing and their transformation journeys, and people were communicating with loved ones who had passed. There were people communicating, in spirit with people who are still here on the planet with us, and many more experiences. So as we sat, in this circle, I just remember feeling such a deep relation and resonance, with every single brother and sister story. There always seemed to be like one piece, just at least one nugget from their share that helped me on my journey. It helped in my learning and my expansion of myself. And it really just kept beating this drum for me of how connected we all are, right? And just how intertwined we all are. And what was really fascinating for me as an empath and a clairsentient, it was so powerful to have such vulnerability being shared and to have this depth of experience and to really feel, into these experiences of others. Because, my abilities felt so heightened with this medicine going through my veins. It was a really deep connection I was feeling with everyone, and it was just so profound. I really have never in my life prior to that moment felt so connected to my fellow humans before. So, really beautiful to have that experience with everyone. And after our sharing circle, we all went and had a quick snack because then we have to get ready to fast again for the night of ceremony coming. And I remember just after that snack, the best thing was just the weather. It was like one of those perfect weather days where you don't even really notice the weather because it's so perfect. And we were just kind of sitting outside and everyone was connecting with each other and, sharing stories of the night before and just sharing general stories of our journeys and what we've experienced. Again, I was so blessed to sit in this retreat weekend with so many brothers who were veterans and to hear their experiences and to connect with them on what they've experienced in their life was really powerful and really did help me connect into my warrior spirit. So, um, one of the other cool things that I really loved about this retreat and this ceremony weekend was we had a Kundalini yoga instructor there, and he provided us an opportunity to do a little bit of Kundalini yoga before our ceremony that night. And I love like all yoga, but Kundalini is one of my personal favorites. And so, before we were getting ready for ceremony that night, and after kind of the R&R and connecting with everyone, we got to do some Kundalini yoga, which really helps to move energy through the body and really energizes the body with the use of breath work and meditation and some movement. So, between the food, the connection, the beautiful weather, the Kundalini yoga, whew, I was feeling ready and empowered to go sit for second night of ceremony. So when it came time for ceremony, I think the best way to capture ceremony tonight is to read what I wrote in my journal for you, because there is a lot that happened. And I think even if I try to just recall it, I would maybe miss a few things. So I'm going to read you the journal entry that I wrote the very next day in the morning to capture my second night experience. And I'll probably pause and add some commentary as it comes to me as I go through the journal. So I'm going to read what transpired in my second night in journey. So, second night of ayahuasca and sitting with the medicine, and all I can say is, whoa. The first cup from my brother was such a kick out into the astral realms, and it had me so overwhelmed with visualizations. All of the beadwork that everyone wears was incorporated into my visualizations. And I could see in the images that there were sacred geometry patterns everywhere. And all the fractals and the patterns were moving so unbelievably fast. They were unfolding and refolding onto themselves in every single color imaginable, some colors that I had never even seen before. Even when I would open my eyes, the room was seen in these variations of light and dark shadows, of pixelated grays, and I could literally see the souls of each being in the room from a different dimension. I could, or it was really overwhelming. to have such intense visualizations, and it felt like there was just too much going on. And I remember that the medicine had hit me really fast too. So, side note from my journal, during this experience, one thing that did happen in second night, not only did the medicine hit me fast, and not only were these visualizations coming on really powerfully and really strong, even with my eyes open, which had never happened to me before. I remember we were very close to a military base, and the helicopters on the military base were running night ops that night. So, as we're sitting in this beautiful ceremony space, we've got windows open, breeze coming through the room, and then the medicine kicks in, and these intense helicopters are like flying overhead. And to this day, every time I hear a helicopter, I think about that. But it really added into the level of intensity in the experience. So, as I'm feeling overwhelmed, here I'll get back to my journal. It was at this point I started to ask Mother Ayahuasca to calm down and to ease up on me. I remember a friend telling me that you can ask for what you want in your experience from grandmother. So I asked her to please ease up. I surrendered down to the earth in child's pose and I prayed. And I prayed to be alleviated of the intensity and how overbearing everything was in the experience. While I waited, I focused on my breath and the exhalations and the inhalations. It really felt like all that I needed. And it helped me to release and to purge everything that was no longer serving me from my being. I remember I had tears purging through my eyes and yawns and sighs galore. And I kept saying to myself this mantra: all things are temporary. All things are temporary. As I waited for the light to return and to come more back into my body. The songs felt so overpowering in the darkness, and all I remember wanting was the light to return to the room. So, again, the first part of ceremony is always held in the dark, and this was the most powerful experience I had had with um, any sort of drug and seeing visualizations. And it was so overwhelming again, and with everything moving fast and with the helicopters, there was a lot. And this moment and this lesson, this experience really felt like surrender, and surrender to the darkness and remember that you can breathe and remember that all things are temporary. So I'll get more into the lessons, but that's what was going on in my head and my heart during that. So back to my journal. I recall how alleviated I felt when finally our ayahuasquera, my angel, she came back to bring the light into the room. I remember she invoked the sacred goddesses into the room and asked them to come and dance and to play with us. I have never clapped so loudly in my life. I clapped so loud to welcome their arrival and their presence as I finally began to come back into my body. It was around this time I noticed that my body had become very cold in the dark, and it was a bit disorienting to try to cover myself up and to get warm. And once the light had come back into the room and once the new songs began to play, I was finally able to introduce some movement back into my body to help me move the medicine around. And it was the singing and the light and the moving that really helped me to shift out of the darkness and to come back into my own light. It was around this time that second cup of the medicine was offered. And in that moment, there was no way I could go deeper. Again, I was just so elated with how I was starting to feel. And shortly thereafter, or maybe not so shortly, that they had offered second cup, one of the most powerful songs in ceremony had come on. It was the song called Illumina, and all of the dancing and all of the light and all of the singing with this song, it brought me so deeply into my heart, and I felt so flooded with joy. I'd never in my life been so grateful to sing and to join in song and to feel the reverberations of my own voice join in with others in the music. So, a side note from my journal. Um, this was one of the most powerful pieces of the ceremony for me on this night was really feeling authentic in my own voice and feeling the connection of others, with my voice and joining with theirs. It was so powerful to also help really pull me back into the light because the beginning of ceremony was a bit dark on this night. So, really a lot of beauty in the power of song with this ceremony. Okay, back to my journal. This is when, in the ceremony, the hape was introduced. I again was not called to join into the hape ceremony, though I was so grateful to be so close and to hold space for all of my brothers and sisters participating. I just sat there with so much joy and peace and strength that I had found. And I just kept feeling how this whole experience is making me a warrior and it's allowing me to help others heal in greater and more profound ways. Not only that, but it made me feel so deeply connected into my warrior self. And it was around this time that I felt so proud of myself and I felt so much gratitude for all of the work that I have done. So much gratitude to be able to sit where I was sitting. And it was around that time that I had a second wave of more powerful visualizations come in. It hit during one of the medicine songs. I don't recall which one, but I do remember I was called back into my all things are temporary mantra. And it was during this that I was able to truly tap in to the strength and the courage that I had discovered. I could tap into my inner warrior. And it was this that got me through. It was around this time when they called for the third cup of the medicine. And I, at this point, felt called to invite just a little bit more medicine into my body. I remember waiting in the hallway, and there was the breeze of the desert night, and it was blowing through the hallway, and it felt so reinvigorating to my body. It filled me up with so much energy and so much light. But I remember because I was in the hallway, I came up behind my sister, my ayahuasquera. And when I came up behind her, it took her by surprise. Because of that, we laughed and we hugged at how funny it was. And it was a nice moment of humor for a heavy night of ceremony. After she gave me my medicine, we hugged, and I was just so grateful to invite more medicine into my journey. I remember after this, I sat and settled back into my space, and the music made the third cup come on so quickly. But this time it was more of a lovely feeling, and it lacked the deep intensity of the other cups of medicine. It was with this cup where I felt a sense of calm and ease wash over me, and I was able to even get snuggled up on my side for a bit while I laid in fetal position and I let the music lull me into a dreamy, almost lucid dreaming type state. I kept sinking in this moment into all of the love and the joy and the gratitude that was in my heart, and all of the love and joy and gratitude that I could feel filling the room. And it connected me to all of my new tribe brothers and tribe sisters. Really, it was fucking unbelievable. I again got back up and started to get some movement into my body. I wanted to move the medicine around my cells and wake myself back up. And it was during this time I began singing some more songs again. And I felt so much joy in singing with everyone and singing together. Very soon after I got up and I was singing, I remember our ayahuasquero was intuitively guided to bring all of us outside. It was crazy in the middle of the night, in the middle of a medicine ceremony, to move our entire circle out under the night sky, but we did it. And boy, did we make the most of it. This is where we danced under the universe. We danced with our Earth Mother, and we sang and we celebrated our union and our friendships and our journeys and all the work that we had all done. Our brothers made us a fire I've never seen made so quickly. But it was such a beautiful sight as we were all able to enjoy the dancing light of the fire and the embers around. I remember all of the songs were filled with so much love, and the singing and the dancing of all of us under the night sky was one of the most sweet and connected moments I've had in my whole human experience. To be invited into this loving group and to be filled with so much strength and courage, it really was such an honor. Upon returning inside and celebrating the night, we ended with some sananga, which are eye drops that are used to help you open your third eye and to cleanse of toxins. I'm not sure why, but I was called to them, and I really wanted them to open my third eye and cleanse me of toxins. Even though they burned like the devil, I had a wonderful purging of tears, and I felt so grateful and relieved that I had completed that part of the ceremony. When we were all finally done and we were singing the last few songs to close out our ceremony circle, I remember I was so incredibly tired and yet so incredibly joyful and grateful. And then it was time for soup. And it was time to share some smiles and some stories and then go to bed. And I was so grateful to get into a comfy and cozy bed and drift off into sleep, even if it was only for a few hours. So that is my journal from the next day with what transpired the second night of ceremony. So just to recap a few lessons that I felt like really came through during ceremony for me is that up to that point in my life, which I could even argue up to this point at the time of this recording, I have done so much work on myself and I have done so much to improve and to better myself and to really cultivate, my warrior and to cultivate my strength. And what was interesting in ceremony is that it came in is that I've done the work, and now I get to enjoy it. Like my warrior is there. She is accessible and the strength that she brought me, which I would also equate this to my higher self, and that true spirit within me. I felt so connected to her, and through all the work I've done to be able to access that connection is such a blessing. Another big lesson that came in to ceremony is that all things are temporary, and I feel like while we say that a lot, we don't always trust in it and believe in it fully. And in the times of darkness, we do have levers to pull to get us through. You can focus on your breath. You can remind yourself all things are temporary. You know, the sweet just isn't as sweet without the sour. And I was reminded of the duality that we need of the light and the dark, and how, you know, even in the darkest of moments, we can get through it. And all things are temporary and the light will return. Another overarching theme carried through from the night before was also just how connected we all are, and how beautiful and healing it is to be in group and in ceremony and in tribe to go through these experiences. The connections that we have to each other and how what we do for ourselves, we're doing for all of us was really powerful and really came through during ceremony. Um, and from the second night, what I got right immediately after, again, I'll tell you more about integration, but I realized just how healing our own voices and how healing song is and how powerful music is and sound healing. And I had never felt I've always loved music. I think as humans, we all kind of love music, but I never realized how making music with my own voice, and joining others in music and in song, just how powerful and healing that was. So it was an amazing second night of ceremony. So I want to just kind of take you through the next day, our integration day, and how that looked. Um, and just share with you some of the final parts of the ceremony retreat. So that next morning, I went out, did my journaling, which I just had read you, but I remember meditating outside in the morning and with my feet on the earth. And I remember I had never felt so connected before. And I remember doing some sun salutations with my feet like deep into the desert earth. And I just felt like I was so one with everything. And it was such a peaceful, blissful feeling. So after my journaling and, some movement and meditation, I, of course, had to do another hot tub dip because there was a hot tub there and it was perfect weather for it. But I remember just feeling, as I sat in that hot tub with the sunrise, my brother's there, I just remember these immense amounts of peace and joy and just being present in the moment that I felt, and just how beautiful it was to be experiencing life and to be living. Didn't stay in the hot tub too long that morning because I had actually volunteered to help with breakfast. Since I love to cook and I'm such a foodie, I was called to serve my brothers and sisters. And so I helped with breakfast that morning. And again, I was so excited and so eager to be working as a tribe. And, this was such a reminder that this is how we're supposed to live, right? We're supposed to live in tribe and live in community. We're not supposed to be separated and doing these things alone. And it was the amount of love that filled that room and the amount of love we were infusing into the food and all of the joy and the connection. That was so tremendous. Even though the experience and the ceremony was just so amazing, I cannot get over how much my soul really needed that tribe and that community nourishment as well, which was such a beautiful lesson from this integration and this ceremony weekend. But once again, with breakfast, I've never tasted food so good. So after you go through, all the fasting and la dieta, you want to smash some vegan pancakes, okay? And your fruit and your chia pudding and the eggs and, salad and again, the whole spread, just all organic, all super delicious, made with so much love. It was wonderful. So it was good to feel nourished and to feel some nutrients coming back in my body. And after our breakfast that day, we did another sharing circle with our ayahuasqueros. And that's where they shared a little more insight with us on our journeys and just helped us move through. And again, it was incredible how powerful it was to learn so much from others' experiences. We go through our own experiences and have our own perspectives, but to learn from the wisdom of others and the experiences of others was really powerful in that sharing circle. And what was super cool was our ayahuasqueros had brought some beadwork from the Hunicun tribe in Brazil, um, and I of course had to purchase a beautiful beadwork piece to, commemorate my first powerful ceremony experience. And it was really beautiful because even the ayahuasquero, he put a blessing on it for me, which felt really special and just made the piece even more memorable. But after our sharing circle that day, our ayahuasqueros had left. They were returning to their families and their lives. So even though our tribe got a touch smaller, um, this was Saturday, and Saturday was really all about integrating, the ceremony from the 2 nights before. So we had lined up for that night a really powerful Kundalini yoga session with our Kundalini yoga instructor that was there, and also we were bringing in a sound healer to come in for a full sound healing journey and sound healing immersion, which I was excited for all of that because I love all of those things. I really love Kundalini yoga. And so to bring in more of that to this retreat weekend, it really did make me feel like I was moving the medicine, still through my body. The medicine stays with you for several days and really for your life. It doesn't physically stay in your body, but the medicine continues to do its work. And the Kundalini yoga was so beautiful to help move the medicine through my body. And I remember feeling so connected into my body, my mind, and my spirit, that day doing the Kundalini yoga session. And I felt so strong. I remember after the Kundalini yoga session, I was just feeling really strong and again, really tapped into that inner warrior. Um, but what was fascinating to me was what transpired in the sound healing journey that evening, because it brought up so much that I didn't even know I was holding on to. So, for the most part, the ceremony nights, even though I had kind of an intense start to my second night, my moods were pretty uplifted. I felt good. I felt strong. I felt like I was a warrior. And then the sound healing happened. And it was just something my soul needed. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but something shifted for me during the sound healing, and a lot of sadness that needed to come out of my body and out of my cells, that I obviously had been holding on to needed to be released. And it was about 5 to 10 minutes into the sound healing journey, and she was pairing it with some breath work as well. I just started bawling. And I mean, not just like crying. I'm talking about the full ugly tears kind of crying. All right. Where you've got the snot and the tears and the everything everywhere. And I just could not stop it. And I was literally like trying to kind of cover my mouth and nose with tissues because I didn't want to disturb others' experience with the sound healing. So I did my best to just honor it, and to let the music flow through me. And really, I wasn't sure what all needed to be released, but I was just allowing it to happen. And I remember when I did finally kind of start to control myself again, I was like, "What are we releasing?" And a big answer that came in was the feelings of not feeling enough, and not feeling like I was enough. Lovable enough, deserving enough, all of the enoughness. And a big part of that was feeling enough in my business. And so I just kept letting it out. And it literally went through the whole time in the sound healing journey. Had to kind of clean myself up after that, because it was a big release, but it was needed, and again, that's the beauty of our journeys. And if we honor our energy as it shows up, we can release stuff when it needs to come out. So, well, after that big release in the sound healing journey, I did feel a little bit better. I felt a little bit alleviated. I was pretty exhausted, at that point from the fasting and the lack of sleep and the ceremonies, and then this big, emotional release, which was, kind of taxing on my nervous system. I was exhausted. However, we all did enjoy a beautiful fire outside that night, and it was so beautiful to just sit with others and to listen to their stories. And we had so much musical talent at this retreat. There were literally there was a professional musician there, and some others that were just really talented with their instruments and their voices. And so it was so beautiful to all be out there outside together again, around a fire under the stars, and connecting, and just enjoying the tribe, enjoying the community, enjoying the music, enjoying our beautiful, Mother Earth, and just feeling so deeply into her energy. It was wonderful. I loved it so much, but at the same time, there was this little twinge of sadness knowing that the next day we were all going to depart and head on our own ways. And I just wanted so badly, I remember, to stay connected with everyone, and to just have this tribe and this community. And I just knew, though, we all have to go on our own ways and continue on our own journeys so we can bring the medicine out into the world. So I did go to bed earlier that night than some ceremony nights, but we were still up till, I don't know, 1 or 2 in the morning or something like that. But I got a little more sleep that night, and I woke up again just feeling so grateful, just so much magic transpired in that weekend. And To end this episode, I want to share with you my journal entry from Sunday morning, which is the day that we all departed from the retreat. And I just think it kind of captures how I was feeling in that moment pretty perfectly. So I want to share it with you. There isn't a picture in this world that could capture the beauty and the splendor of this weekend. The amount of magic that resides in this desert retreat is purely indescribable. In quotes, from the mountains to the trees, all of this is within me. I have everything I need. End quote. Side note from my journal, that is a Trevor Hall song that is titled Everything I Need, I believe. And that song was just resonating with me, and I was singing it that morning. So back to my journal. I love all of the connection and tribe I have found here in this desert. The light and love that everyone here has and that is connected to, it just feels like home. One of the greatest lessons and realizations of this weekend has been just how connected and intertwined we all are. The mirrors we all are to each other is so profound. The common threads that we share and the experiences and emotions that bring us all together. And the fact that what we do for one, we do for us all, has become so evident and so transparent this weekend. I now fully understand that as I open my heart and I heal my own wounds, I am transforming my brothers and my sisters, and I'm lifting them up to do the same. I love how as I love how they can heal and lift up without me doing much at all except for healing my own heart. I truly gained 22 brothers and sisters this weekend through this experience. And the amount of love and joy I have in my heart, I'll be forever grateful for. The next step is to take all of these lessons I have learned and to take them into my everyday life, to carry them forward, and to use the love and light that I've gained here to spread it out into the world, to make the world a brighter, a healthier, and a more beautiful place. And again, tribe, that's why I'm here. So, this was an elaborate experience. And if you're still with me here on this episode, I appreciate you so much that I get to share my medicine with you. And because it was such an elaborate experience, next episode, we're going to launch and continue into part 3 of this journey. Because while, again, a lot of work is done in ceremony, even more of the work is done in integration and integrating how, the lessons that you learn and the experiences you have during ceremony, how they present in your life and how you begin to integrate some of what came up in ceremony into your life. So with that, right now, this is the medicine that I have been called to share with you today in this divine timing. And we will get into more of the integration lessons in the next episode. But I trust with what I shared today that it will guide you on your journey forward to bettering yourself and beautifying our world. All right, tribe, thanks for listening in to these beautiful lessons from Grandmother Ayahuasca. And until next time, much love to you all, tribe. Hey, tribe, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this podcast, make sure to like the video below and then click subscribe so you never miss an episode. And remember, I've got lots of free resources available to you to support your healing, transformation, and ascension so you can help in making this a more beautiful world for us all. Make sure you check them out in the description below. Thanks again for tuning in, tribe. And until next time, much love to you all.